what do you make of these rumors heating up again about Giannis possibly to the Knicks?
Yeah, I mean, listen, for 2 years now, I've kind of adopted the stance, and I think it's true, is that the Knicks can't win a bidding war against them. If it's open to the field, the Knicks are going to lose that battle in terms
Mhm.
of what they have to offer, what they have to offer, and so I think unless Giannis comes out and says, all right, I'm coming to the, it's got to be the Knicks, and I'm going to use the leverage of this contract extension, and you have to work with me because I'm the best player in franchise history, and I did that, and I won a championship for you, and you better do me a solid, and it's got to be the New York Knicks. Then I don't think the Knicks are going to get Giannis Antetokounmpo, and it's an uphill battle for them. Um, and right now they're adopting the posture. I'm talking about the Knicks of we like what we have. And I think that's just the nature of where you're at in terms of we want to keep our players happy, because if Giannis Antetokounmpo ever jarred loose and they had the opportunity to get him, they would jump with both feet at that opportunity.
Yes.
So listen, I think that they're not going to get him just based on logic and based on, if the Milwaukee Bucks were doing the right thing for the franchise and for their fans and for ownership and all down the line. But if they were doing right by Giannis Antetokounmpo, and if he legitimately said, listen, and I don't know if this is true, I'm just saying this is what
Right.
Shams reported, that he wanted the Knicks. That was it. That was the one team. He didn't. Giannis kind of denied it. It was weird when I asked him about it, but if that is true and he leverages his way to the Knicks, I think that's the only way he gets here.
Well, that's the thing for me too. I guess two-part question for me, Bondy, that you kind of answered in one bit. Like it sounds to me like you believe the Knicks would need Giannis Antetokounmpo, because that's a question I tossed around. It's like, okay, some people will say they don't need him, and I'm like, who's turning down Giannis? You know what I mean? Like I think that's a fair thing to bring up. But I guess the other part that was interesting listening to your answer just now was, do you think Giannis can play this leverage game? It's one thing to say that what was reported in the summer, late in the summer, that hey, the Knicks were the only team on his list. But do you think he might play that card with knowing the power he could wield in the market and say New York's the only place I want to go to?
I don't know. I know everybody keeps telling me the guy has stopped short of demanding a trade for a reason because he doesn't want to be the bad guy.
I've heard
So
that too. Hmm.
so does he want to be the bad guy times two and says, I want to trade? And guess what? You're gonna have to get back worse value for me because I want to go to this specific team, and that would piss off the Milwaukee fan base even more, piss off the Bucks even more. I don't know. I don't know. James Harden would have no problem. Kevin Durant would have no
Yeah,
problem,
That's true.
but
yeah, they
but
give him
I
up.
don't know. I don't know
Yeah,
what Giannis would do, to be honest.
yeah. He has seemed to not be the guy that wants to go. Go ahead, Brian. My bad.
Steph, do you have an idea of, if it got to this point, do you have an idea of what the Knicks would actually be willing to piece together in the event that because if Giannis does publicly ask out, they're going to be in the sweepstakes, like
Mhm.
especially if he wants to go there. But do you have an idea of what an offer or a maybe series of offers could look like? Because there's a world where, and we talked about this yesterday, Dex, where this could be a 3-team, 4-team deal, especially with this new CBA, because that's often how things have to get done now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think you got to start with Cat automatically, and then I mean, I've kicked around ideas. I don't know what they're willing to give up, so this is all speculation.
Right.
Cat and Deuce and Mikal Bridges for Giannis and Kyle Kuzma.
Kuzma.
And then
Yeah.
you throw in whatever draft picks. And if you want to, and the other scenario I tossed out there was three-way trade with San Antonio, where listen, I know the Bucks probably, if they're getting rid of Giannis, they want to go into rebuild mode. So then you're shipping off different players to San Antonio because San Antonio's in a situation where they might want to say, all right, let's go for it.
Mhm.
Wemby's ready. And then Stefan Castle comes back to Milwaukee, and then you give San Antonio Mikal Bridges, and you give San Antonio OG Anunoby or something like that. You know what I mean? So there's different scenarios that you could throw out there. I don't know specifically what the Knicks would be willing to offer, other than it's Giannis Antetokounmpo. It's the best player in the Eastern Conference by far. Second best player in the NBA, in my opinion, after Nikola Jokic, ahead of Luka Doncic. So, listen, if you're serious about winning a championship, I think the Knicks can convince themselves that, hey, we can get out of the East right now. I don't think they can convince them, unless they're blowing smoke up their own ass, that they can beat the Oklahoma City Thunder in the NBA Finals.
And
so,
see, that's the point, right?
Yeah,
Getting Giannis could put you in that class where you could legitimately beat them.
But even beyond that, though, like, what if, because Giannis is the best player in the Eastern Conference, we all would agree with that. You run the risk of, if you don't land him, he can stay in the East, because there are other teams in the East who can put packages together or put a deal together, be it a Miami, be it a Detroit, be it maybe even an Orlando, even Atlanta has been thrown out there, even Cleveland, even regardless of their tax situation. But there is a way that this can actually get done. Like, the Knicks would run the risk of, oh, okay, we're good now, we can contend now, but another one of your rivals gets Giannis Antetokounmpo, and then all of a sudden they're above you or right on the same tier.
Yeah, I mean, this scenario happened at a lesser level with Donovan Mitchell. Remember, they were going hard after him, and then Cleveland ended up with him, and that's a rival in the Eastern Conference. And now you have Cleveland and the Knicks going at each other. I don't think the Knicks anticipated at that point that Jalen Brunson would be as good as he is. But yeah, I mean, it comes down to, but if you're the Knicks and you say, all right, well, this Detroit is going to get Giannis Antetokounmpo, they're going to take a leap above us. I mean, what are you going to do? You can't offer more than Detroit, because the Knicks just don't have the draft capital to compete for with an offer for Giannis Antetokounmpo. So if Milwaukee does a smart thing for the franchise, which is, all right, listen, we're going to lose the best player that's ever walked in this building. I know the old timer's going to kill me right now.
You're disrespecting Kareem out here.
All right. So at Lou Alcindor left, he won a championship there, but he left. So let's take the whole career. Giannis had the best Milwaukee Bucks career for the franchise in history. So, if they do the right thing and say we need to start over, they're going to need rebuilding pieces. The Knicks don't have those pieces. They traded all of them for Mikal Bridges. So that's the reality. And if I'm Milwaukee, I don't want Cat. Why would you want Cat? What are you going to do with Cat? You know,
just
what I mean?
To flip him. I think it would more likely be Cat goes to a third team. You mentioned San Antonio earlier, but I think San Antonio might actually be interested in Giannis if they're getting in a deal.
Yeah,
so that's like the other difficult thing about it.
Tell me, what team wants Cat?
You would know better than both of us.
I mean, I don't know.
If Steph is throwing the question at us, the answer is nobody.
I don't know. I mean,
and it's not even. I don't even think
canvas the league. Like, let's look logically. Yeah. What team wants Cat?
Yeah, and I don't think.
Honestly, I've thought about this, Steph. I've really thought about this in like the last 24 hours or so, and I really could not come up with somebody good other than teams desperate or poorly run, i.e., Sacramento,
Phoenix.
Okay,
if
maybe
the
Phoenix, they want to get him back with his boy Devin Booker.
Sacramento doesn't make sense because they're so bad that why would you
take on that contract, right? And he's going to be he's trying to get an extension. That too.
Right.
Phoenix is another team I would talk about just because they're so desperate to get another star.
I can see Phoenix. I can see Phoenix just because that owner's like, man, I don't want to be bad. And
they've been better than I thought this year. So.
Yeah, and they're playing better. So, I mean, if you can get a Phoenix in the mix, I think their cap situation is so bad.
Yeah, it is.
That it's like you can't just start moving pieces around and expect them to be the third team to facilitate a trade unless every contract lines up perfectly.
Right, and the contract that lines up with Cats is Anthony Davis, and then who does that make sense for? What's the point of doing a Giannis, Towns, Anthony Davis three-way trade for everybody involved?
I mean, like, all right, so you get Memphis because they want to get rid of Ja.
If they do, but
if they do, Trae Young, Atlanta. I mean,
no,
there's not a hand in glove fit to everyone's point up here. Like, and it's not even to disrespect Cat. The contract is the contract.
You know what might be the hand in glove fit? Trading him back to Minnesota for Julius Randle. Just saying. I mean, when you think
that'd be
awkward. It would be awkward, but in a way, it's almost like, oh, that's the perfect retrade. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just in a way, it's kind of that. Steph, I agree with you, and I think it's going to be disappointing for most of the fan base I'm sure we'll talk about this more. But I guess I'll ask this: the longer this goes on, until we hear Giannis actually make a demand or actual trade request, and now he's injured 2 to 4 weeks. Some people think that's a conspiracy, but I'm not going to go there. The longer this goes on, do you think this could become a distraction for this Knicks team? You know, when we're in the locker room, I mean, obviously it's going to be part of your job and to ask these questions, and it's going to come up. But do you think this could become a distraction for this team?
I mean, it's possible. Listen, I think with Cat's situation, let's just talk about Cat because he's going to be the guy that's thrown out there just because his salary matches up perfectly with Giannis. Cat, you know, he did not come to an agreement on an extension in the offseason. And I understand why from a Knicks perspective. It doesn't make sense. He still has plenty of years left on his contract and a lot of money. But if you're Cat, I'm all NBA. I'm an all-star. Why didn't you pay me? And now I'm involved in trade rumors. That can get in a guy's head. You know, so you know, I could see it happening. You know, but it's hard for me to predict how the players are going to react to something like that.